Amelia's hands trembled as she gripped the coffee pot, her knuckles white against the ceramic handle. Jake Thompson stood in the doorway of Dolly's diner, his bloodshot eyes scanning the room until they found her. The familiar cold dread crept up her spine, the same feeling that had haunted her for months after she'd finally escaped him. "Well, well," Jake's voice cut through the morning chatter, causing several customers to look up from their breakfast plates. "Look what we have here." Amelia took a step backward, her heart hammering against her ribs. She could smell the alcohol on his breath from across the room, could see the dangerous glint in his eyes that she knew too well. The other waitresses had gone silent, sensing the tension that now filled the small Chicago diner like smoke. "You can't hide from me forever, Amy," Jake sneered, taking another step inside. "We need to talk about Chloe, about what you owe me." That's when she felt it, a presence behind her, solid and commanding. A man's voice, low and deadly calm, spoke just over her shoulder. "I think the lady made it clear she's not interested." Welcome to Passion and Power. Today we're diving into a story about protection, hidden identities, and unexpected love in the heart of Chicago. If this story gives you chills, comment where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button. Your support means everything to us as we bring you the most captivating romance stories every week. 3 hours earlier, Amelia Foster had started her shift at Dolly's Diner on West Madison Street, thinking it would be just another ordinary Tuesday morning in Chicago. She'd dropped 5-year-old Chloe off at kindergarten, kissed her daughter's forehead, and promised they'd have mac and cheese for dinner. Chloe's favorite. The diner was a slice of old America, with its red vinyl booths, checkered floor, and the perpetual smell of bacon grease and coffee. Dolly Martinez, the 58-year-old owner, had given Amelia a job when no one else would. A 24-year-old single mother with no family, no references, and bruises she'd tried to hide with concealer. "Morning, sweetheart," Dolly called from behind the counter, her graying hair pulled back in its usual bun. "Table 6 wants extra hash browns, and the gentleman in the corner booth has been nursing that coffee for an hour." Amelia glanced toward the corner booth. A man sat alone, impeccably dressed in a charcoal grey suit that probably cost more than she made in 3 months. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and even from across the room she could see the expensive watch glinting on his wrist. He looked completely out of place in their humble diner, like a panther in a pet shop. "Probably lost," she murmured, grabbing the coffee pot. "I'll top him off." As she approached his table, she noticed more details. His white dress shirt had the top 4 buttons undone, revealing a muscular chest and what looked like the edge of a tattoo on his neck. His hands were strong, manicured, and bore a heavy gold ring. When he looked up at her with intense dark eyes, her breath caught. "More coffee?" she asked, proud that her voice remained steady. "Please." His voice was deep, with the faintest trace of an accent she couldn't place. "And maybe you could recommend something. I'm not from this neighborhood." "The pancakes are good," she said, refilling his cup. "Dolly makes them from scratch, or if you want something heartier, the breakfast burrito is popular." He smiled, and it transformed his entire face. "I'll trust your judgment. Surprise me." As she walked back to the kitchen, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that he was watching her. It wasn't the uncomfortable attention she'd grown used to from some customers. This felt different, protective, almost. "Dolly, 1 breakfast burrito for the suit in 6, she called through the pass-through window. "That man's been coming in for a week now," Dolly said, cracking eggs on the griddle. "Always orders something different, always tips well, but he spends more time watching you than eating." Heat crept up Amelia's neck. "Maybe he's just friendly." "Honey, I've been running this place for 15 years. That man isn't just friendly, he's interested. And from the look of that watch, he's got money." Amelia shook her head. "I'm not looking for anything like that, Dolly. You know that." "I know Jake Thompson messed you up good," Dolly said gently. "But not every man is like him. Some of them are decent." The mention of Jake's name made Amelia's stomach clench. It had been 8 months since she'd left him, taking Chloe and nothing else. 8 months of looking over her shoulder, of jumping at unexpected sounds, of teaching her daughter to be afraid. She delivered the breakfast burrito to the mysterious man, who introduced himself simply as Raphael. He asked about her day, about Chicago, about the diner. Normal questions that somehow felt deeper when he asked them. His eyes never left her face when she spoke, as if her words were the most important thing in the world. "You're not from here originally," he observed, cutting into his burrito. "No, small town in Indiana, came here for a fresh start." She didn't mention running away. Didn't mention the bruises that had finally healed. Didn't mention the nights she still woke up in a cold sweat. "Fresh starts can be good," he said quietly. "Sometimes they're necessary." Something in his tone made her look at him more carefully. There was understanding in his dark eyes, as if he knew about running, about starting over, about leaving pieces of yourself behind. "I should let you eat," she said, suddenly feeling exposed. "Amelia." Her name on his lips made her pause. "If you ever need anything, anything at all, you can find me." Before she could ask what he meant, the bell above the door chimed. 3 men in expensive suits entered, and Raphael's entire demeanor changed. His relaxed posture became alert, his friendly expression shifting to something harder, more dangerous. "Excuse me," he said, standing. The transformation was remarkable. Gone was the charming customer, replaced by someone who commanded immediate respect. The 3 men approached his table with obvious deference. "Boss," one of them said quietly, "we have a situation." Amelia's blood ran cold. "Boss." She moved away quickly, busying herself with other tables, but she couldn't stop stealing glances at the corner booth. Raphael spoke in low, clipped tones, his voice carrying an authority that made the other men nod and take notes. When they left, Raphael returned to his breakfast as if nothing had happened. But Amelia's hands were shaking as she refilled water glasses. What kind of business required that level of formality, that kind of obvious fear and respect? "Everything all right, sweetheart?" Dolly asked, noticing her distress. "Fine," Amelia lied. "Just tired." But she wasn't fine. For weeks, she'd been drawn to Raphael's kindness, his gentle questions, his protective presence. Now she realized she might have been naive about who he really was. In her experience, men who commanded that kind of fear were dangerous. Men like Jake. When Raphael left an hour later, he placed a $50 bill on the table for a $12 meal. Underneath the money was a business card with only a phone number. No name, no company. "In case you need anything," he said as he passed her station, "day or night." After he left, Amelia stared at the card for a long time. Part of her wanted to throw it away, to forget about the mysterious man who made her feel things she'd thought were dead. But another part of her, the part that remembered his gentle voice and protective eyes, slipped the card into her apron pocket. She had no idea that decision would change everything. The call came at 2:47 a.m. on a Thursday night. Amelia jolted awake in her studio apartment, her heart racing before she was fully conscious. Years of living with Jake had trained her to wake at the smallest sound, always ready to protect Chloe. But this wasn't Jake. Her phone was buzzing on the nightstand, an unknown number flashing on the screen. "Hello," she whispered, not wanting to wake Chloe, who was sleeping peacefully in the bed they shared. "Amelia, it's Raphael." His voice was tight with concern, and she could hear traffic in the background. "How did you get my number?" "That's not important right now. Are you and Chloe safe?" The question sent ice through her veins. "What do you mean? Why wouldn't we be?" "Jake Thompson was released from county lockup 3 hours ago. Drunk and disorderly charges dropped. He's been asking around the neighborhood about you." Amelia's blood turned to ice water. She hadn't even known Jake had been arrested. "How do you know this?" "I make it my business to know things that might affect people I care about." His voice softened slightly. "Pack a bag for you and Chloe. I'm sending someone to get you." "No." The word came out sharper than she intended. "I don't know who you really are, Raphael. I saw those men at the diner, the way they called you boss. I'm not trading one dangerous situation for another." Silence stretched between them. When he spoke again, his voice was careful, measured. "You're right to be cautious, but Amelia, Jake Thompson isn't just drunk. He's angry. He's been telling anyone who'll listen that you stole his daughter, that he's going to make you pay." "Chloe isn't his daughter," she said fiercely. "He never wanted her. He used to say—" She stopped herself, old habits of protecting Jake's secrets dying hard. What did he used to say? That she was a mistake, that we both were. The words tasted bitter. He never even held her when she was born. Then why is he looking for you now? That was the question that terrified her. Jake had never shown interest in Chloe, had barely acknowledged her existence except to complain about the crying or the expense. "I don't know. My car will be there in 10 minutes. Rico, my driver, will take you somewhere safe while we figure this out." "Raphael, I can't just... Please." The single word carried weight, desperation. "I know you don't trust me. I know you have every reason to be afraid. But right now, I'm the only thing standing between you and a man who wants to hurt you." Amelia looked at Chloe's sleeping face, so peaceful and innocent. Her daughter had never known fear the way Amelia had. She'd made sure of that. "If I do this," she said slowly, "I need to know who you are, really." Another pause. "My name is Rafael Castillo. I run a family business in Chicago, import and export." It wasn't the whole truth. She could hear it in his voice, but it was something. 10 minutes, she said and hung up. She moved quietly around the small apartment, throwing clothes into a duffel bag. Chloe's favorite stuffed elephant, clean underwear, the medication for Chloe's asthma. As she packed, her mind raced. How had Raphael known about Jake's arrest? How had he gotten her phone number? What kind of import business operated at 3 a.m.? "Mommy?" Chloe's sleepy voice made her freeze. "What are you doing?" "We're going on a little adventure, baby," Amelia said, forcing her voice to stay calm. "Remember how we used to pretend we were explorers?" Chloe sat up, rubbing her eyes. "Is the bad man coming back?" Amelia's heart broke. She'd tried so hard to shield Chloe from the truth about Jake, but children were perceptive. "We're just being extra careful, okay? Like superheroes." "Are we going to see the nice man from the restaurant?" "What nice man?" "The one with the pretty watch. You said he was nice when I asked." Amelia stared at her daughter. "When did you see him, Chloe?" "When Anna took me to get ice cream yesterday. He was across the street, and he waved at me. Anna said he was probably just being friendly, but he looked like he was making sure we were okay." A chill ran down Amelia's spine. Raphael had been watching them, following them. The protective instinct warred with a growing unease. Was she making the right choice? A soft knock at the door made the decision for her. "Miss Foster," a voice called quietly. "I'm Rico. Mr. Castillo sent me." Through the peephole, she saw a stocky Hispanic man in his 40s, wearing a simple black suit. He held his hands where she could see them, his posture non-threatening. "Mommy, I'm scared," Chloe whispered. "It's okay, baby. We're going to be okay." She opened the door, keeping the chain lock engaged. "How do I know Raphael sent you?" Rico held up a phone, and Raphael's voice came through clearly. "Amelia, it's me. Rico has been with my family for 15 years. You can trust him." "Family business," she repeated, looking at Rico's respectful but alert stance. "Right. Miss, we should go," Rico said gently. "Mr. Thompson was seen 2 blocks from here 20 minutes ago." That decided it. Amelia scooped up Chloe, grabbed their bag, and followed Rico to a black SUV with tinted windows. As they drove through the empty Chicago streets, she held her daughter close and wondered what she'd gotten them into. The SUV pulled up to a high-rise building in River North, one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the city. Rico led them to a private elevator that required a key card. "Mr. Castillo is waiting upstairs," he said. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse that took Amelia's breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a stunning view of Lake Michigan, and the furnishings were elegant and expensive. This wasn't just money. This was serious wealth. Raphael emerged from what looked like a home office, still dressed despite the late hour. His white shirt was rumpled, sleeves rolled up, revealing muscular forearms and more of that intriguing tattoo. "Thank you for trusting me," he said simply. "I'm not sure I have," Amelia replied, setting Chloe down. Her daughter immediately gravitated toward the massive windows, pressing her nose against the glass. "Mommy, look, we're so high up. Are we in a castle?" Raphael smiled, the expression transforming his serious features. "Something like that, little one. Are you hungry? I think I have some cookies in the kitchen." "Can I, Mommy?" Amelia nodded, and Raphael led Chloe away, leaving Amelia alone with her racing thoughts and growing questions about the man who'd just turned her world upside down. Amelia woke to the smell of pancakes and the sound of Chloe's laughter. For a moment, she forgot where she was. The Egyptian cotton sheets and silk curtains were nothing like her threadbare apartment bedding. Then reality crashed back. Jake, the midnight escape, Raphael's penthouse. She found them in the kitchen, a massive space with marble countertops and professional-grade appliances. Raphael stood at the stove, still in his white dress shirt from the night before, now with an apron tied around his waist. Chloe sat on a bar stool, chattering animatedly while he flipped pancakes. And then the elephant said to the mouse, "You're too small to be scary." But the mouse said, "Size doesn't matter if you're brave." Chloe giggled at her own story. "Very wise, mouse," Raphael said solemnly, sliding a perfectly golden pancake onto her plate. "Courage comes from in here." He tapped his chest, right over his heart. "Mummy!" Chloe spotted her and beamed. "Raphael makes pancakes shaped like animals. Look, this one's a butterfly." Amelia's throat tightened. In 5 years, Jake had never once made Chloe breakfast, had never listened to her stories or made her laugh like this. "Good morning," Raphael said, his dark eyes searching her face. "Coffee? Please." She accepted the mug gratefully, inhaling the rich aroma. "This is expensive coffee. I have expensive tastes." He said it matter-of-factly without arrogance. "Did you sleep well?" "Better than I have in months," she admitted, then immediately regretted the honesty. She didn't want him to know how scared she'd been, how many nights she'd lain awake listening for footsteps in the hallway. "Mommy, can we live in the castle?" Chloe asked around a mouthful of pancake. "This isn't our home, baby. We're just visiting." Raphael's expression flickered with something she couldn't read. "You're welcome to stay as long as you need." "That's generous, but we can't impose." "It's not an imposition." His voice carried a finality that brooked no argument. "Jake Thompson is still out there. Until we know what he wants, you're safer here." "We?" Amelia set down her coffee cup. "There is no we, Raphael. I appreciate your help, but I don't even know who you really are." Chloe looked between them, sensing the tension. "Are you fighting?" "No, sweetheart," Raphael said gently. "Your mommy and I are just talking. Why don't you go explore the living room? There are some books on the shelf that might interest you." After Chloe skipped away, Raphael turned to face Amelia fully. "So you want to know who I am?" "Yes." He was quiet for a long moment, studying her face. "My family came to Chicago from Guadalajara when I was 12. My father worked construction. My mother cleaned houses. We lived in a neighborhood where survival meant choosing sides." "What kind of sides?" "The kind where you either join or become a victim." His jaw tightened. "I chose to join. I was good at it. Organizing, planning, making sure everyone got their fair share. By the time I was 25, I was running things. Running what things? Import and export, protection services, real estate investments. Each phrase was carefully chosen. Technically true, but incomplete. "That's not the whole truth." "No," he agreed, "it's not. But it's all I can give you right now." Amelia felt frustration building. "So I'm supposed to trust you blindly? Put my daughter's safety in the hands of someone who won't even be honest with me?" "You're supposed to trust that I would never let anything happen to either of you." The intensity in his voice made her step back. "You're supposed to trust that every instinct you have about me, the reason you called me when you were scared, the reason you let Rico bring you here, those instincts are right." "I didn't call you. You called me. You kept my card for 3 weeks. You could have thrown it away." He was right, and they both knew it. She had kept the card, had looked at it more times than she cared to admit. "Raphael, Her phone rang, cutting off whatever she'd been about to say. Jake's name flashed on the screen and her blood turned to ice. "Don't answer it," Raphael said immediately, but she was already swiping to accept. "Hello, Jake." "There's my girl." His voice was slurred, dangerous. "Miss me." "What do you want?" "What's mine? You and my daughter." "Chloe isn't yours." "You made that very clear when you said—" "I know what I said." The explosion of anger made her flinch. "But things change, Amy. I've been thinking, and maybe I was too hasty. Maybe we can work things out." "There's nothing to work out. We're done, Jake. We've been done for 8 months. See, that's where you're wrong." His voice dropped to the tone she remembered from their worst fights. the one that meant violence was coming. Because I've been talking to some people, and they tell me you've been seen around town with some rich guy. That true? Amelia's eyes flew to Raphael, who was listening intently. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. You think you can just replace me? Move on to someone with deeper pockets? Jake, you're drunk. Call me when you're sober. I'm coming for you, Amy. And when I find you, we're going to have a long talk about respect, about loyalty, about what happens to women who think they can just walk away. The line went dead. Amelia's hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped the phone. What did he say? Raphael's voice was deadly calm. He knows about you. Someone told him they saw us together. That's impossible. We've only met at the diner and Raphael stopped, his expression darkening. The ice cream. When Rico saw you and Chloe yesterday. Someone was watching us. Someone's always watching in this city. The question is who and what they want. Raphael pulled out his own phone. Rico, I need you to run surveillance on Jake Thompson. I want to know where he's been, who he's talked to, and who's feeding him information. Raphael, you can't just... I can and I will. He ended the call and turned to her. Amelia, there are things about my life, my business, that put people at risk just by association. I should have thought of that before I got involved. Got involved in what? He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. In caring about you, in wanting to protect you, in falling for a woman who deserves so much better than what life has given her. The words hung between them like a bridge neither was sure they should cross. Mommy! Chloe's voice broke the spell. Come look, there's a pool on the roof. As Amelia followed her daughter's excited chatter, she felt Raphael's eyes on her back and wondered if she was falling too, and whether that was the most dangerous thing of all. The confrontation came sooner than expected. 3 days after moving into Raphael's penthouse, Amelia was walking back from Chloe's school when she saw him. Jake leaned against a black sedan across from the building entrance, his arms crossed and a cold smile on his face. Her first instinct was to run, but Chloe was chattering about her day, oblivious to the danger. Amelia forced herself to keep walking, to act normal while her heart hammered against her ribs. Mommy, why did you stop? Chloe tugged on her hand. Just looking at something. Baby. Amelia pulled out her phone with trembling fingers, scrolling to Raphael's number. Before she could call, Jake pushed off from the car and started walking toward them. Amy, he called out, his voice carrying across the busy Chicago street. Don't you dare run from me. Several pedestrians turned to stare. Amelia scooped Chloe into her arms and quickened her pace toward the building entrance. Mommy, who's that man? Chloe asked, wrapping her small arms around Amelia's neck. Nobody important, sweetheart. But Jake was faster, and he caught up to them just as Amelia reached for the building's security door. That's no way to greet your baby daddy, Jake said, grabbing her arm. His grip was firm enough to bruise, and she could smell alcohol on his breath despite it being only 2 p.m. Let go of me. Amelia kept her voice steady for Chloe's sake. Not until we talk. You've been avoiding me, Amy. That hurts my feelings. Mommy, I'm scared, Chloe whispered. You're scaring her, Amelia said. Please, Jake. Not here. Then where? You won't answer my calls. You moved out of your apartment. Yeah, I went by there. Landlord says you're 3 months behind on rent, but somehow you're living in this fancy place now. His eyes traveled up the gleaming glass tower. Must be nice having a sugar daddy. It's not like that. No, then what's it like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're whoring yourself out for a roof over your head. The words hit like a physical blow. Amelia felt tears sting her eyes, but before she could respond, a familiar voice cut through the tension. I suggest you remove your hand from the lady. Raphael stood behind Jake, having appeared as if from nowhere. He wore a charcoal suit and his usual white dress shirt, but there was nothing casual about his demeanor. He radiated danger like heat from a flame. Jake spun around, still gripping Amelia's arm. And you must be the rich boyfriend. Heard a lot about you. I doubt that. Raphael's voice was conversational, but his dark eyes were fixed on Jake's hand. You have 3 seconds to let her go. Or what? You'll call the cops? I'm her daughter's father. I have rights. You have nothing. The words came out like a death sentence. And your 3 seconds are up. What happened next was so fast Amelia barely saw it. Raphael moved with fluid precision, grabbing Jake's wrist and applying pressure to some specific point that made Jake cry out and release her immediately. "You son of a..." "Language," Raphael said mildly, nodding toward Chloe. "There's a child present." "Raphael, please," Amelia said, though she wasn't sure if she was asking him to stop or continue. "Take Chloe upstairs," Raphael said without taking his eyes off Jake. "Rico is waiting by the elevator. I'm not leaving you. Now, Amelia." The authority in his voice brooked no argument. She hurried into the building, Chloe clinging to her neck. "Is the nice man going to be okay?" Chloe asked as they rode the elevator up. "He'll be fine, baby. He's very strong." But Amelia's hands were shaking as she paced the penthouse living room, waiting. What if Jake had a weapon? What if someone called the police? What if Raphael... The front door opened and Raphael walked in, straightening his tie. His knuckles were slightly red, but otherwise he looked completely composed. "Is he..." Amelia couldn't finish the question. "Alive and unharmed, mostly." Raphael loosened his tie and sat heavily on the sofa. "We had a conversation about boundaries and respect." "What kind of conversation?" "The kind where I explained that if he comes near you or Chloe again, the next conversation will be much less pleasant." Amelia sank into the chair across from him. "Raphael, you can't just threaten people. There are laws. There are also realities." His voice was harder than she'd ever heard it. "Jake Thompson isn't going to be deterred by restraining orders or police reports. He's going to keep coming until someone makes him stop. And you're going to be that someone, if necessary." The casual way he said it sent chills down her spine. "Who are you really?" "Raphael. And don't give me another story about import and export." He was quiet for a long moment, studying his hands. When he looked up, his expression was resigned. "My name is Rafael Castillo. I run the largest organized crime family on the south side of Chicago. We control territory from Pilsen to Little Village, with interests in construction, waste management, and yes, import and export. I've killed 3 men with my own hands, ordered the deaths of 7 others, and I'm wanted by the FBI in connection with 17 different federal crimes." The words hung in the air like smoke. Amelia felt the world tilt sideways. "You're..." She couldn't say the word. "A criminal, a killer, a man who solves problems with violence and intimidation." He leaned forward, his dark eyes intense. "I'm also a man who would burn this entire city to the ground before I let anyone hurt you or your daughter." Amelia stood abruptly, her mind reeling. "I need to think. I need to... Chloe and I should go." "Where?" The question was simple but devastating. "Back to your apartment that you can't afford? Back to looking over your shoulder every day, wondering when Jake will show up? Back to being afraid? I was managing before I met you. You were surviving. There's a difference. At least I was surviving honestly." The words came out harsher than she'd intended, and she saw him flinch, as if she'd struck him. "You're right," he said quietly. "You deserve better than this. Better than me." He stood and walked to his office, returning with a thick envelope. "There's $50,000 in here, enough for you to start over anywhere you want. Rico will drive you wherever you need to go." Amelia stared at the envelope. "You're paying me to leave." "I'm giving you the freedom to choose. Stay and you'll always be looking over your shoulder. Not just for Jake, but for my enemies, for federal agents, for anyone who might use you to get to me. Take the money and disappear. Give Chloe the normal life she deserves. And if I stay?" His jaw tightened. "Then you stay, knowing exactly who I am and what that means. No more lies, no more half-truths. Just the reality of loving a man who lives outside the law." The word loving hung between them like a confession neither had meant to make. "I need time," Amelia whispered. "Take all the time you need, but Amelia..." He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the pain in his dark eyes. "Whatever you decide, know that these past few days, watching you with Chloe, having you in my home, pretending we could be a family, they've been the best days of my life." As he walked away, leaving her alone with an envelope full of money and an impossible choice, Amelia realized that her heart had already made the decision her mind was still fighting. The attack came at dawn. Amelia woke to the sound of shattering glass and men's voices shouting in what sounded like Russian. She grabbed Chloe from the bed, her daughter still half asleep and confused. "Mommy, what's happening? Stay quiet, baby. We're playing the hiding game, remember?" Amelia's heart pounded as she carried Chloe to the walk-in closet, just as Raphael had instructed during their safety briefing 2 days ago. She locked the door and pressed the panic button hidden behind the shoe rack. Through the closet walls, she could hear the sounds of a fight, furniture breaking, men grunting with effort, the distinctive crack of gunshots. Chloe whimpered and buried her face against Amelia's neck. "It's okay, sweetheart. Raphael will keep us safe." But was he even alive? The penthouse had gone eerily quiet. Then she heard footsteps approaching the bedroom, slow and deliberate. A man's voice, heavily accented. "Search everywhere. Castillo's woman and the child must be here somewhere." Alexei Morozov. Raphael had shown her photos of the Russian boss who'd been trying to muscle in on Castillo territory for months. "Boss said to make it look like an accident," another voice said. "Gas leak, maybe. Whole building goes up." Amelia's blood turned to ice. They weren't just after her and Chloe. They were planning to kill everyone in the building. The closet door handle rattled. "Locked," the first voice said. "Probably just storage." "Check it anyway." Amelia held Chloe tighter, pressing her hand over her daughter's mouth. The lock wouldn't hold against a determined assault. That's when she heard it. Raphael's voice, cold and deadly. "Looking for someone?" The sound of gunfire erupted again, closer this time. Men shouted in Russian, furniture crashed, and then sudden silence. "Amelia?" Raphael's voice, strained but alive. "It's safe. You can come out." She opened the closet door with shaking hands. Raphael stood in the bedroom doorway, his white dress shirt torn and bloody, his face grim. Behind him she could see Rico and 2 other men she didn't recognize. "Are you hurt?" she asked, setting Chloe down but keeping her close. "Not my blood," Raphael said simply. "But we need to leave, now. Morozov's people will send reinforcements when these men don't report back. Where will we go?" "Somewhere safe. Rico has a car waiting." As they hurried through the penthouse, Amelia tried not to look at the destruction. Bullet holes in the walls, overturned furniture, dark stains on the marble floor. This was Raphael's world, violence and death and constant danger. In the car, Chloe finally spoke. "Raphael, are you a superhero?" Raphael's expression softened as he looked at the little girl. "No, pequeña, I'm not a hero at all. But you saved us. Heroes save people." "Sometimes bad men have to fight other bad men to protect good people. That doesn't make them heroes." "I think it does," Chloe said with 5-year-old certainty. They drove to a safe house in Chinatown, a nondescript building above a dim-sum restaurant. As Rico and the other men secured the perimeter, Raphael finally allowed himself to show his exhaustion. "This is my fault," he said, slumping into a chair. "I should have anticipated Morozov would try something like this." "How could you have known?" "It's my job to know, to be 3 steps ahead of my enemies." He looked at her with haunted eyes. "I almost got you killed, both of you. But you didn't. We're safe. For now. But Morozov won't stop. He'll keep coming, keep escalating, until one of us is dead." Amelia sat across from him, studying his face. The man who'd seemed so powerful, so in control, looked suddenly vulnerable. Human. "The money," she said quietly. "The 50,000. Is the offer still open?" Something died in his eyes. "Of course. Rico can have you on a plane tonight. New identities, clean papers. You and Chloe can disappear completely." "That's not what I meant." He looked up, confused. "I meant, is it enough to get us all out? You, me, Chloe, all of us." "Amelia, I can't just leave. I have responsibilities, obligations." "To who? To what? To a life that almost got your daughter killed today." "She's not my daughter." "Isn't she?" Amelia's voice was fierce. "She thinks you're a superhero, Raphael. She lights up when you walk into a room. She's never had a father figure who made her feel safe and loved. And I've never had a family worth protecting. he admitted quietly. Then maybe it's time we both tried something new. Raphael was quiet for a long moment. It wouldn't be easy. We'd have to disappear completely, start over with nothing. No money, no power, no protection, except what I can provide. I've started over with nothing before. The difference is this time I wouldn't be doing it alone. And if I can't adjust, if I'm too damaged, too dangerous. Amelia reached across the table and took his hand. Then we'll figure it out together, all of us. Mommy, Chloe appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Are we going on another adventure? Maybe, baby. How would you feel about that? As long as Raphael comes too, Chloe said, climbing into his lap with the easy trust of childhood. He makes the best pancakes. Raphael's arms closed around the little girl, and Amelia saw tears in his eyes. I love you, he said quietly, and she knew he was talking to both of them. I love you too, she replied. Both of us do. 3 hours later, they were on a private plane to Costa Rica, leaving behind everything Raphael had built in Chicago. As the city lights faded below them, Amelia felt something she hadn't experienced in years: hope. No regrets? She asked, taking his hand. Only that it took me so long to realize what really matters, Raphael replied, pulling her close. Family. Love. Building something instead of destroying it. And Jake? Raphael's expression darkened briefly. Rico made sure he understands that you're under permanent protection. He won't be a problem. As Chloe slept across their laps, Amelia finally allowed herself to believe in happy endings. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you could do was trust someone completely. But sometimes it was also the most necessary. Years later, Amelia stood on the beach behind their small house in Costa Rica, watching Raphael teach Chloe to surf. Her daughter, their daughter now, officially adopted with Raphael's name on all the papers, squealed with delight as a small wave carried her toward shore. Papa, did you see? I stood up for almost 3 seconds. I saw, mi amor. You're getting better every day. Raphael had kept his word about starting over. They'd built a legitimate business together, a small resort that catered to families seeking authentic Costa Rican experiences. Raphael's organizational skills and Amelia's hospitality background made them a formidable team. He was different here, calmer. The dangerous edge was still there when needed, but mostly he was just a man who made pancakes on Sunday mornings and read bedtime stories with silly voices. Mommy, look! Chloe ran toward her, dripping seawater and grinning. I'm going to be a professional surfer. I don't doubt it, Amelia laughed, wrapping her daughter in a towel. Raphael joined them, his white shirt unbuttoned and his hair tousled by the ocean breeze. The tattoo on his neck had been joined by others, Chloe's name in elegant script over his heart, coordinates of the beach where they'd been married. Happy? He asked, pulling Amelia into his arms. Completely, she said, and meant it. Sometimes the best protection wasn't walls or weapons or power. Sometimes it was simply love and the courage to choose it over fear. And that's how a terrifying encounter at a Chicago diner became the beginning of an unexpected family. Love truly can bloom in the most dangerous circumstances when two hearts are brave enough to trust. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more passionate tales. Your support helps us bring you these emotional journeys every week. Until next time, keep believing in love's power